All right, just so you guys can get to know us a little better, Andy and I are going to tell you about things that we've stuck up our butts. Me, nothing.
Glove, bat, ball, shoes, cleats, pants, knee-high socks, I guess, hat, rubber, first base, second base, third base, rake, fence, pine tar, gloves. I said gloves, but mitts, gloves. I wasn't ready for this.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Nick, that's Andy, and today we're talking about The Running Man. Andy, how far would you go to save the person you loved? Would you rob someplace? Would you kill somebody? Would you suck off Bill Clinton? All those answers and more in today's episode. Starting off, I'm going to let you know I gave this a 9 out of 10. I was a big fan of the Arnold Schwarzenegger Running Man back when I was a kid. Every time it was on TV, there was just something about it that I was just drawn to. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I honestly didn't even know that a lot of people hated that movie until I got into like high school and older than that. I thought everybody loved the movie because why else would it be on TV? The only part of this movie that really brought down my score was the pacing, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on.
I'm also 9 out of 10, bro. I actually didn't realize this was a remake. I just thought like, oh man, somebody must have watched The Hunger Games and had this other version of the idea. I really enjoyed it. It was really fun. I heard news outlets saying like it's the most entertaining movie of the year. I don't think they're wrong on this one.
Great. We're 2 weeks in a row that we're together. Right on the
same
money.
score.
That's awesome. All right, so that puts this movie at a 9 out of 10 on our tier list. Fantastic. I want to talk about the story real quick, just because it has a lot of current topics. It is very similar to at least 4 other movies we've watched this year. One Battle After Another, Eddington, even a little bit of Begonia. So what did you think of the overall concept of this game show that if you're desperate enough to be on and you could set your family up for life and go out and try and survive this 30 days?
I like the concept a lot. I think that it's probably pretty entertaining from a viewer standpoint too, but there were some parts in this movie and the storyline that were just incredibly predictable from an audience standpoint, at least for me. This was probably the most easiest movie I could predict throughout everything. But I still really enjoyed it because I wanted to see how it happened, how it all laid out. I did expect him to run a bit more and be a little bit more clever with his hiding spots. There were many times where he was just kind of out in the open, even though he could obviously be tracked pretty easily. And there were also times where it wasn't really the running man, it was more like the escape artist, where he just escaped wherever he was currently in. I wanted to see him run. I wanted to see him like jump over things and whatnot. I wanted to see more chase scenes, I guess. But overall, I really enjoyed it, so I don't have a whole lot of complaints.
One of the main differences between this movie and the last one is not only the length of time that the whole competition starts. So the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, he's got 3 hours to survive. And it's kind of video game dungeon-y where it's like a finite area and there's like bosses throughout the world. This one has a group of mercenaries that they call hunters. And these guys are like the top of the top, ready to hunt down and kill all these runners. I thought the dynamics between the hunters and Glenn Powell's Ben Richards was a much better portrayal of like this cat and mouse game. What did you think about the hunters?
I guess I can't compare it to the old movie. I thought the hunters made a lot of sense. I like that there was also, I think they said 5 of them, because I imagined it was going to be a full military barrage on this guy. I'm like, oh, that's how they're going to rig this. They just get so many people that there's no way he can outrun it. Now there's just like mainly 5 legit guys that can try to capture him. So I thought that balanced it pretty well. And I thought the hunters were also intimidating and also really cool. So I really liked them.
All right, and to now talk about the part that kind of fell off for me, it was the pacing. I think between the 3 acts of the story, they were each just a little bit too long, and right before they switched into that next act, there was just a good chunk of time where I was noticing the time and being like, oof, when is the next thing going to happen? However, shortly after, those points would happen and energy would ramp back up. One thing that really surprised me about this movie is that it actually had me liking Glenn Powell as an actor. I can say in all the stuff that we have seen thus far, I've just kind of been about him this whole time, but I thought he did a really great job, and I thought his relationship with Josh Brolin's character, the network executive, was a great back and forth and showcase of rage of the common man versus the greed of the slimy business person. What did you think about some of the acting and the actors?
So going into this, seeing the trailer, I was actually not excited to go see this one. I thought it was going to be a lot of really low-hanging fruit stuff. It didn't feel like that strong of a cast. But each of the characters' dynamics and the contrast between them when they have conversations was really intriguing. And especially Domingo Coleman's character, who is the game show host, he actually needs to host a game show. I just loved listening to that man's voice and how excited he was. Oh my gosh.
My last 2 points that I have about this are going to be really quick. Number one, I thought the side characters were also very fun, but they were more of a cameo style character. There wasn't really a huge supporting cast for this movie, but I don't think it took anything away from the experience. Number two, I love the music. I was singing it after the movie ended, and I was singing it all the rest of the day today, and I just kept coming back. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. And it was great. It just had me pumping the entire time, and you could feel it building throughout the movie. It was really fun. You have anything you want to add?
Just one point. Hollywood sometimes gets really good at predicting the future, or at least creating a future that is kind of leaning towards. They scared me with this new money business, because I think new money was because the old currency was failing because of inflation. It was failing so badly that they just literally had to create a new currency, and they just called it new money. That's my thought. They didn't talk about it, but I was just like, what if that is the future, that we're just going to completely change our currency because our inflation is so high and we're just so bankrupt right now that the only way out is to literally just restart?
A little dose of existential crisis to wake you up in the morning.
It was the first thing I wrote, and I was just so focused on it every time they said new money.
Oh, shit, new money. Oh, no. And just off of that, I will say that the whole vibe, this retro futuristic vibe that the whole city had and the cars had and outfits, they made a futuristic world without it seeming too unrealistic. That was cool to see. You don't normally see something like that. Normally it's something way out there like Tron or Star Wars or something like that. But to have it a bit more grounded in reality was unique.
I will say, if the mail and the cameras can fly around without propellers, why did the helicopter need propellers? Answer that one to me. Okay. Maybe it's the size of the object. Maybe if you get too big, we don't have the technology for that. I'll give them that.
All right, and as always, don't take our word for it. Let's look and see what the internet has to say. Disclaimer, we are recording this early, so not a lot of reviews have come out yet, so take this with a grain of salt. All right, so IMDb has the audience rating right now currently at a 6.8, so we'll round that up to a 7. And there isn't really any other place that has a rating yet, because again, it's not quite out there. So we're just going to call it a 7 for right now.
What? No, there's gotta be. Oh, shit, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. All right, as far as critics go, we can look on Rotten Tomatoes, and they gave it a 64 out of 100. We'll put that as a 6. And then Metacritic gave it a 56 out of 100. There's still stuff rolling in, but we're going to call that a 6 out of 10, which puts us way beyond everybody else. So let's take a look at a negative review.
We got that running high.
We got that running high, yeah. All right, so we're going to read a negative audience review. This one is a 1 out of 10. Says, more like flopping, man. I don't see this movie making making tons of money. It's a story we've seen before 1,000 times. Man is down on his luck, so man decides to do something desperate for money, and man goes against the system. This movie is a middle finger to society and to Republicans and Democrats. Do not go see this movie. It's political and social trash. This Edgar Wright is a terrible director. He should just stick to low budget crap. 8 people found it helpful and 30 people found it unhelpful.
I always love those tidbits. I too think that this story didn't push the envelope. It is something we've seen before, yes. But it was a matter of like how it happened. And like the how is what was really intriguing, and how he had to escape certain areas with like all these like different situations. So I thought a lot of that was actually pretty unique.
All art is political. So whether it be a painting on a canvas, a movie you go see, a podcast, a radio show, whatever, if it's art, it's political. And that wraps this up. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. If you want to see more, check out the rest of our channel. And remember, we're just 2 regular dudes
Doing regular reviews.
and Andy liked a Stephen King movie. I told you there was a secret one coming up, buddy. I told you there was a secret one and you weren't ready for it. You weren't ready. You weren't even thinking about it, were you, dude? You had no idea. You had all the good things you just said about that movie. All the good things. It's a Stephen King book. It's a Stephen King book. You said nice things about Stephen King.
Good job.
You can take your bets. I'll throw it up at the end, but currently there's nothing from our friend Gen X Jeff.
I don't know how he's going to rate that, but anyway, continue.
I'm going to say at the very least he's walking out.
No, he's not walking out of this one. I think there's enough movement and enough action to keep his attention. He usually walks out on things that are just more slow.
This is a cutaway to when I am right.